So I want to welcome everyone to the FSPA 2020 virtual sail away cruise. And this is our discussion panel. And we are going to be looking into some of the trends that we're forecasting maybe for 2021. I think that 2020 has been a challenging year for most of us, especially those who are actually working out in the industry. And that with people staying home and focusing on their backyards, that from what we're hearing, that there are people are looking at remodeling, maybe adding some new equipment to their pools, or maybe putting in their first pool, the first backyard pool. So I think that with the two of you, that you can kind of maybe help us kind of understand what people are looking at that's exciting and unique, some of the trends that we're going to be looking at for 2021. So we have on our panel Holly Waldauer, and she is the owner of Mermaid Lagoons, and you're in Bunnell, right? Is it Bunnell? Is that how you pronounce it, Bunnell?
Yeah, that's where the office is, Bunnell.
Bunnell, okay. And Holly has over 18 years experience in the industry. And from what I know in my research, that Holly is one of the only female tile installers, I should say licensed tile installers in the state of Florida, which I think is pretty neat. And then we have Matt Russell, and he is the owner of Pool Design Concepts, and he's located, you're in Sarasota now, right, Matt?
Yep. Sarasota.
Okay. And Matt has over 16 years experience, and actually in design, construction, and project management. Did I get that right?
Yeah, it's closer to 19 years now.
Oh, you don't look that old.
Been doing it since I was 19.
Wow, that's a long time. Holly, you've been doing working in the industry since you were like early 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been 23 years actually.
Oh, wow. Okay. So even though you guys look so young, you've you've had a lot of, the industry's obviously been good to you. So that's
You
that's good.
can't see all the gray in my beard through the webcam.
No. No, not at all. Not at all. But so I thought maybe we would, kind of get right into it.
So this pool, that's their sun shelf, and it's actually for the owner of a tile company, Victor Tile Plus, and that's actually all mermaid scales out of glass.
So are like people just doing more creative things with tile? Is this something that's kind of new?
I think so. I mean, I feel like Pinterest and all those fun websites are really showing people everything that's out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone is really, they're at night looking at all this stuff and they want it. Nobody wants just a simple pool anymore. I haven't done a simple pool in, I can't tell you how long.
Until they find out what it costs.
Yeah, I'm sure something like this is not like inexpensive, but I believe that like sometimes people go, oh, but I really want it. And so.
And it lasts a long time, so it's not going anywhere.
Holly, can I ask you a question about this?
Yes.
So how long would a sun shelf like that take you to do?
So it took a couple hours to prep it, to get it totally smooth. And then as far as doing the actual tile, it was probably a full day and a half.
Just impressed by the artisan and craftsmanship of it. Second question on just sort of, you were talking about fun websites and the impact on the pool industry. You being the person who's tiling all of these, are you, the photo, obviously you took this, I imagine. Are you also leaning into those sort of fun websites? Are you posting these on social media or anything like that?
I only post it on my Facebook and sometimes Instagram. I don't post anything on Pinterest.
Okay.
I do follow Pinterest a lot though, and that's where there's a lot of ideas out there. Yeah.
And do you get a good reception to when you post these things on Facebook and social media?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's such a changing world, so I imagine this would do really well. It's something people would share and interact with a lot, I imagine.
Oh yeah, topic of conversation for sure.
So here's another one of your jobs. What's happening with this one?
Well, so that's 6x6 on each side, and then that's all 1x1 glass tile.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
What are you doing as far as, installation technique and procedures when you're using glass like that? Are you installing expansion joints, every 8 to 10 feet, or are you using a flexible
No.
waterproofing agent underneath?
I'm using Pool Bright to, get the walls perfectly straight and level. And then I'm using a special thin set for glass, and then another special grout so the effervescence don't come through.
Right. Gotcha.
I haven't had any problems. Like I've taken all the classes where they say you have to have an expansion joint every 10 feet, and I haven't had a problem with it. So, and nobody wants to see an expansion joint every 10 feet. So
We run into that all the time.
yeah. So do you use expansion joints like that?
No, nobody wants to see them.
Yeah.
And I sit there and tell them that that's fine, but per the manufacturer's recommended install procedure, if we don't do them and it cracks, it's not going to be a warranty item.
Right. Yeah. It's their risk, and most people are willing to take it.
Absolutely.
Do you see it as being a problem in Florida? I mean, are you coming up against issues where without using the expansion joint that your tile is popping?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Not yet. I mean, and we've been doing this a while, but I think we really perfected it now with the better materials. And
Well, I think that glass tile is just gorgeous.
I told you how there's no simple pools anymore, and this is the deep end of it's a one-level pool and spa, and they full wall tiled inside the spa and inside the pool. So that's what that is. A lot of tile, but it's stunning,
Yeah, that is.
Is that a permeable paver too?
Yes.
Yeah. With and then you've got the vault there for automatic pool cover.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Wow, that's a job.
Yeah. So this one was actually I did a builder's personal pool. And he's like, oh, tile the whole thing. So I said, okay, there it is, all 1x1 glass, and that's just the spa. So
and I've seen a lot of photographs lately of pools that are totally tiled. Like that's how they're, creating these really unique looks in a lot of pools. Is that something that you see more and more of?
Well, it's funny because the whole reason they would tile, and this is just what I know, they would tile the entire pools because they didn't have a plaster material. They didn't have a Diamond Bright, they didn't have a Crystal Crete, so they would tile everything. And now it's like it's somehow coming back. If you go to Mexico, to any of those resorts there, a lot of them are all tiled and that's just what I understand. I could be totally wrong, but they don't have that plaster material in the cruise over there. So that's just what I've heard. So that's why they tile it. But it's just it just pops so much, and people see it, and that's it.
And I think there's so many more options today in tile or finishes, but especially in tile. It's not, I can remember growing up and it was the blue tile, that blue ceramic tile around the edge of the pool. And that was kind of like it.
Cobalt blue. Yep.
Yeah. So
are you setting that one row at a time around the radius?
Yes. That's 1x2 glass. That's a champagne spa.
That's really nice.
Some tedious work.
Yeah.
But I mean, the end result's incredible. So
yeah. So as far as design trends go, a lot of what we see right now and where we kind of see everything moving forward is it's very clean line. It's minimalistic. It's monochromatic. The deck flows to the edge of the pool without any kind of seamless break. If you've been in the pool industry 20 years, years ago, we would do these big raised walls in the back, and a lot of that's kind of gone by the wayside. If it's anything, it's, smaller features and design elements. We talk about three main design elements: food, fire, and water for outdoor living spaces. in that, and you can't see it, and that's the way that it's designed. But the front right corner of that pool is a spa. You can kind of see the bubbler in it, but it's again that kind of clean look where the spa looks as if it's, you know, part of the rest of the vessel.
So are either of you or both of you seeing like a trend towards maybe smaller pools? I have a big backyard, but I don't want a huge pool. So is that like so unusual? I'm seeing like people are putting in smaller stuff that are geared more towards like fitness. I don't know if you'd call it a swim spa with maybe a sun shelf on the end.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they're pretty much all, you know, 14 by 28, 15 by 30s. I haven't noticed that anything's gotten any smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I have done a few of those, the swim spas with the jets in the wall, and they call them spools, a spa and a pool. So it's like a big spa, but it's, you know, it's so big that they call it a spool with jets around it. You can have a lot of people in there. So I've seen that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of our clients, it's not necessarily about the size. I would say that pools, especially in Florida, have become far more aesthetic features than they are functional swimming pools. So even if they're big, they may incorporate elements that don't really make it, you know, like even if it's 20 by 40, inside of that space, it's, you know, swimmable space. It doesn't necessarily mean that with, you know, things like, we call it a shallow lounging area or sun shelf or Baja ledge or tanning ledge. I think that what we try and do is pretty much customize the design to the unique client in terms of how they see themselves using that space.
Can you tell us about this one, Matt?
Yeah, so I had already done a couple projects for this particular client, and he decided to build another house. And we spent a long time, he's from Poland. We spent a long time kind of trying to figure out what he wanted and what he was looking for, and working through that kind of design process. Originally, his wife wanted a round spa and he wanted a square spa. So we were going to do a square exterior with a round interior.
Oh.
That actually ended up getting nixed for the square spa. So I guess he won that argument. But that is actually, and I have some other pictures of it now. I kind of wish I want to sent them. That's an all tile spa as well.
It's beautiful.
So completely tiled interior. And I think the idea and the design intent on this was that we had a very light deck, light exterior of the home, and wanted to be able to contrast and white, you know, almost completely white PebbleTec interior, and wanted to contrast that with some dark tile accent, almost like a yin and yang, so that they really stood out as the accent features. And that little L shape is mimicked on the other side of the deck as well, and those are flush fire features. So at night, those turn on and create a nice flame effect on each corner of the pool.
It's amazing. I love the palm trees, the planters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he was adamant about having planters in the pool. And I told him, I said, you realize what kind of maintenance that's going to be, right? He's like, I don't care. I don't take care of it. And I'm like, okay, whatever you want.
Matt, quick question. You were talking about sort of how pools are becoming more aesthetic rather than functional. Do you think there's so many more photos and videos and just things being shared via social media? Do you think that maybe is sort of the reason it's moving towards that aesthetic?
Yeah, I think that it's all kind of like we touched on earlier is they go on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Houzz. There are all these sites now that they can go to, and they see these, you know, pictures of what has been done, and they get inspired. And yeah, I think that the focus is more on something that is that wow factor versus, you know, I'll just take a 20 by 40 rectangle and be done. You know, I think that people are thinking more about it. We talk a lot in our design meetings, you know, about use of space and what's important and how they see themselves using it. Sometimes they don't have the answers to those questions, and we have to kind of help walk them through it. But ultimately, I would say 90% of the time, form outweighs function for most of the clients that we work with.
And just second question to follow it up. When you finish these, I mean, these are great photos that you have here. When you finish these, are you like, do you have a interior marketing team? Are you hiring out for these photos, or are these just cell phone photos that are really great and are sent by like the customers or something?
It's a mixture of all of that.
Mhm.
On some of them, we will coordinate with our building partners, because typically they, on new construction projects where we're building the pool in conjunction with the house, and we're working with a general contractor and an architect and a landscape architect, as a team to develop and build the design and see it through to fruition. We all want pictures of the project at the end.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll get professional photos taken. Some of them absolutely taken with the cell phone. I have a really decent camera that a Nikon that I use. I'll go out and photograph. And I get client photos sent on, cell phones. I'll take pictures with cell phones. This one was from one of the builders. We collaborated with him to get photos taken of this project. The one before that was one that I took myself. The one before that was one that I took with my cell phone. So
Awesome. Yeah. I just think they're great photos, and I imagine that's something that you now have to coordinate and think about. And I'm interested by that process, but
one of the things that I struggle with is I'm so far involved with, so this is that same pool from the other direction, looking back towards the house.
oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a home.
Is making it back out there when everything is done, right, completely staged, and the furniture and the landscaping, to actually take pictures and fit that into my schedule.
Mhm.
And I may be out on a project, and it's not quite there yet, and I will. The cameras on phones have gotten so good, and the digital editing that I can even do just on my phone with Adobe Lightroom and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Is really an invaluable tool for me, because it's always in my pocket.
So one thing that I do is I take these photos and then I have them canvas on sale, or one of those. I have them made into canvases, and
Mhm.
are on the office at Waldhauer Son.
Oh,
Oh, that's great. So you take digital photos and then make physical things of them so that people can see them when they come in.
Yeah, they walk
That's
in.
great.
so Holly, Matt was talking about the design process when you're going in. So for you as, and I think that the majority, and I could be wrong, the majority of your businesses, you're on the installer side, but where do you come in the design process and giving your input on what will work, what won't work?
Yeah, when people want,
Because I know they have some crazy questions or requests.
yeah, like putting square tiles on round, I'm like, I gotta cut. So they gotta be cut. Cut them perfect. And they always want to know where I would put decos, and where do you put this mosaic? Because mosaics are somehow making a big comeback.
Mm.
I don't know if anyone noticed that, but I have, like, every pool gets a dolphin or a mermaid or something.
Oh.
And a lot of them are made out of glass now too, so they're pretty high. They're pretty high priced.
Yeah. So do you do any of that, or do you have to order that type of specialty mosaics?
We have a catalog, Artistry and
Oh.
Mosaic. I haven't made them in probably 15 years.
Oh.
And on that note, Mary, as part of another part to that question, while we do the upfront design and we may be working on the very front end, once we come up with something, typically I take it to my team. If there's something that we want to do with tile details, I'll take it to my installer and sit down with them and say, hey, look, this is the design intent. How can we make it work? Ultimately, they're going to be the ones responsible for installing it. So for them to have input on that, to me, is invaluable. I've done a little bit of tile work in my career, but I'm not the expert at it. I'm not out there doing it every day. I want the guy who's sticking it on the pool every single day to say, yeah, we can do that, or here's a better way. What about this? Present this. So I think it's important that, people are talking to their team and the people that are actually performing the work and saying, hey, this is what we want to do. How do we execute that build?
Right, because I'm sure from their perspective, there are challenges that maybe I'm sure that about, but when they're out there day in and day out doing that particular type of work, or that, whatever that might be, that there are challenges that they know exist that you might encounter. So I mean, it's good to hear that, you're considering everybody on the team as, that input that makes the final product as beautiful and as functional as it is.
That was a fun one. That's again, I think it incorporates a lot of the same elements that we're seeing. Everybody wants natural stone. This particular project closest to us in the picture is a swim up bar,
Oh,
perimeter overflow spa or champagne spa is how I called it. Fire water features on, some small raised pedestals. The decision was made to put the spa in the center because that lined up with his front entry, which is a straight shot through the great room to the sliding glass doors looking out to the lake.
And that's the screening. That's pretty new.
what's
sorry?
that, Holly?
The screen enclosure,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
landscape.
So we, and again, where we're located out in like Lakewood Ranch area or areas out east of 75, almost every single project gets a screen enclosure. And they have found a way to span up to 40-foot spans and give a more panoramic view. So again, from inside of the house looking out, it almost kind of disappears, especially that first impression when you're walking through the front door. Yeah, it's been great, and it's very, very popular. There are downsides to it. You poke a hole in that, you're replacing that entire panel of screen. And I tell people that, and it of course it costs more. So
Yeah, it's, I mean, when you look at that aesthetically, it's just gorgeous. I remember the first time I saw this type of enclosure, I'm like, well, why is there no screen in the, I mean, visually, it was just really hard for me to comprehend that there was this big expanse that they were able to do now, because I'd never seen it before. And I think it just changes the whole look. Is this is the same pool?
yeah, same pool, different perspective. So again, this one has the actual laminar, the 3 laminar jets. I do so many more of those. When I show people pictures between that and a deck jet, the refined look that you get with like a laminar jet, people tend to lean towards it more. They have light engines in them, so at night they're illuminated. And the other big request that I get now is for Ledge Lounger, and that's part of the reason that we became a dealer for them. And I think that part of that is because they have done such a great job marketing. You see them anywhere that you look for patio furniture, they seem to pop up, and they're by far the best in-pool furniture that I've found, and the only stuff that I recommend. I've seen too many, people put metal furniture or wood furniture in their pool and it rusts or damages or stains the finish. So they really have cornered that market with their UV and chemically resistant resin.
So those are permanently affixed then, is that correct? No?
No, they fill up with water. Yep. They've got plugs in the bottom. You sink them down. It usually takes about 2 people. And then you put them in place. So they're movable. They can be taken out of the pool. And it's the only furniture that if we have a hurricane, I tell people you can push it in the pool.
And that's gorgeous.
That was a model that we built for one of our building partners. And I spent a long time with the owner kind of refining what we wanted to do here and what we thought was going to work. That picture was taken at dusk, so it doesn't really create the full effect. But the idea was to create a pretty much entirely black interior, as dark as we could get it, to create the reflection. That pool's centered on that A-frame cage above, and it goes right out to a lake view if you're standing at the great room sliders looking out. So you've got that exposed wood beam detail that carries through the house out to the lanai, that is then mimicked by the screen enclosure, and to kind of reflect that in the pool. Again, with the flush spa, where it appears as if it's part of the pool. And then literally during the day, that cantilevered fire pit looks like it's floating on top of the pool. And that was all done out of absolute black granite.
So sort of to recap, just to talk about sort of the trends I'm hearing, on the tiling side, it's tiling everything, smaller mosaics, a lot of detail work on the tiling side. And then on the pool design side, I mean, just from these photos and the things you're saying, fire and water are sort of a big thing right now. The champagne spas seem to be also large. And then this indoor, outdoor, minimalistic aesthetic through the whole house, sort of including view to the pool as being not just, oh, we have a pool out there, but we have something that you should see, a pool that you really want to see, and the lake behind it. Would you say those are sort of the themes that are you're thinking of?
Yeah, I mean, from a design standpoint, absolutely. It is, when we talk about outdoor living, it is where the house transitions seamlessly to the exterior living environment. Most of all of our projects all have outdoor kitchens, a place to dine, right? So you just flow and it just seems organic. I was inside of the house and now I'm outside of the house, but it still feels like I'm, in the same space. We do talk a lot about creating destinations where people can go and congregate. Maybe there's a table here, maybe there's lounge chairs over there. But yeah, it's very seamless.
It's definitely turned into an outdoor new living space that people are, definitely is on their minds when they're purchasing a home or decide to build to add on a pool.
Wrap up here on the tiling side. Am I correct in saying that it's more detailed, intricate tiling everywhere is sort of the theme that you're seeing?
Pretty much, yeah. We're getting rid of bullnose on the steps, and everyone wants glass on the steps, and
Yeah.
but nobody's really been able to travel. So everyone is definitely taking their homes and making them, they're more than just a vacation and, clean out your closet. It's let's stay home and have a great vacation at home. And yeah, they're getting pretty detailed and they're really awesome now. I mean, the summer kitchens and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess if you're afraid that you could be stuck home again for months on end, you might as well have a pool that reflects and looks like a outdoor spa and things that you'll enjoy.
Some place that you can really live.
Resort living in your backyard, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to really thank both of you I know you're extremely busy, and I want to thank both of you for taking the time to, join us as we do our virtual cruise. So
Yes.
what I'm really hoping is that in 2021 that you'll join us on the actual cruise, the 2021 Sail Away Cruise, and that you'll be on our discussion panel to be able to talk about this some more.
Yeah, thank you both for being here. We really appreciate it. Know you guys are busy, but I learned a lot, and I think it was really interesting hearing like sort of the trends that are coming up in the next year or two. So
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you